Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll start with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. Now Mahamrutyunjay mantra 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam iva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam iva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam iva bandhana mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant the forms of Rama. Again, same way. I would chant one row at a time, and you would repeat after me. Ramaha Ramau Ramaha Ramam Ramau Raman Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramasya Ramayoho Ramanam Rame Ramayoho Rameshu He Rama He Ramau He Ramaha. Now all together. Ramah Ramau Ramaha Ramam Ramau Raman Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramasya Ramayoho Ramanam Rame Ramayoho Rameshu He Rama He Ramau, He Rama. Now the verb conjugations for the root gum. First one line at a time. Gacchati, Gacchataha, Gacchanti. Gacchasi, Gacchataha, Gacchatha. Gacchami, Gacchavaha, Gacchamaha. Now all together. Gacchati, Gacchataha, Gacchanti. Gacchasi, Gacchataha, Gacchatha. Gacchami, Gacchavaha, Gacchamaha. Welcome everyone to the class. So last time we did Vyanjana Sandhi, the consonant Sandhi. So just an overview. So in the consonant Sandhi, there are three possibilities. Vowel plus consonant. Actually, there is no change, so that Sandhi does not take place. Then consonant plus vowel and consonant plus consonant. Then we had that Sanskrit word does not end in two or more consonants. And words end only in these consonants. 6 consonants. And even out of these 6, these 3, takara, nakara, makara, they are the most common. When the first word ends in makara, and followed by a consonant, then makara becomes anuswara. And the 2 words remain. So we saw the many examples of that. And then we also saw these rules where a letter from first column is followed by either a vowel or third or fourth column consonants. Then it changes into the third column consonant. Similarly, if it is followed by any nasal letter, that is the letter in the 5th column, then it changes to the corresponding nasal letter. So the some examples we saw, like Vagishaha, here kakara followed by a vowel, and becomes gakara, the third letter in the column. Here takara, and here the gakara follows it, which is a third letter column. This also becomes takara, becomes gakara. And we already posted the notes and exercises and solution to the exercises. So one thing on the exercises, that when you submit the solutions of exercises to us, please check against the solutions, because many times I see some spelling mistakes, like spelling mistakes from Sanskrit perspective. And also, so that way you can actually check yourself where you may have made any mistake, and then you could have questions and you could ask those specific questions. And if there are questions which are of common interest, then I can take those questions in the class. So please do check your exercises against the solutions and see where you think you made a mistake, and accordingly you can, while sending the exercise, you can ask those questions. today we'll see the declensions of the noun. So far we have done four nominals, 4 nouns. So we have done akaranta, and that we have done in masculine and also in neuter. Masculine we had the word Rama, here we had Vana. Then we had Akaranta, and here we had feminine noun like Gita. And then we have Ikara, that is long E, that is also feminine, and we did word Nari. So it's ending in Ikaranta. We also saw pronoun tables, even though we did not go in much detail, but I gave you the reference in Egenes' book. So pronouns, for example, we did aham, meaning I. It is the first person pronoun, and tvam, you, second person pronoun. The first and second person pronouns, they do not have any gender specific declensions. That means whether it is male is speaking, a man is speaking, or a woman is speaking, the declensions remain the same. We also saw some other pronoun. So we saw, actually the pronoun we saw was tat, which has masculine, feminine, and neuter. So masculine, it becomes saha, means he. Feminine, it becomes sa, she, and here it remains tat, means that. So you might have heard the very famous dictum tat tvam asi. So that's where it's coming, tat tvam, that you are. Asi means are, so that you are. That's what the tat tvam asi means. Today we'll do the ikaranta, short e. And we'll do the 2 words today, masculine, feminine. Masculine will take the word Hari, And here we'll take the word Kirti. Kirti means fame. Hari is actually the name of the Lord. So first we'll do the Hari. So if you look at here, these are the Hari is the name of Lord Vishnu, also is a name of person. It's a masculine ikaranta ending in short e. And these are the forms. If you look at here, one thing you remember that all the case meanings, they remain the same. That means whatever nominative means for Rama will also mean the same way for Hari or all other cases, as well as the numbers, singular, dual and plural. If you just look at this table, you can see that there are quite a few of similarities here. So one, this is similar. Then this is also similar. Ramam, Harim. Raman, here it becomes Harin. It's similar. And then we see this is a little different. Ramena, Harina, Ramaya, Harai. So the first singular, actually singular column, that is quite different. But if you look at this column, these things are very similar. As well as these, Ramayoho, here it is Haryoho, just very similar actually. Then we see Hari Bhihi. This is a little different. We have Ramai here, and then Haribhyaha, Ramebhyaha, very similar here. And Ramanam, Rameshu, Harinam, Harishu. This is very similar. So that way you will see that many of the forms that we study, they have a lot of commonality. That makes it easier to identify the forms. Here, like primarily you have to be concerned with the singular column and third plural, Haribhi. But then we know Haribhi is also similar to Gita Bhihi, Nari Bhihi. So this Bhihi is actually the default suffix for third person plural form. Ramahi actually happens to be a little bit of an exception. But most of the places you will find it Bhihi. This third case plural. So most of the forms like this you will find that it is actually the first column singular, which would be the one which you have to remember quite a bit, because that most of the times is more different than others. Then we have He Hare. Harihi becomes Hare. And interestingly, if you Hare means O Hari, it's a vocative case. And if you remember the Mahamantra which is chanted in Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it's coming from here. Hare, that means O Hari, it's a name of Lord. So O Hari, O Rama. So they say Hare Rama. So Rama is coming from this vocative. I'm calling on God. I'm addressing him actually. So when that mantra is being chanted, it's actually as if I'm addressing God. So O Hari, O Rama, O Krishna, like this. So that's where it's coming. We'll do another form just to show you the singular one of the another ikaranta, so that it will become a little bit more clear for you. So I'll do for a word called Agni. Agni means fire. If you know, in Latin, the word for fire is actually igni, from where ignition comes. Ignite and ignition in English. That is coming from the same Agni. So as I told you earlier, all these languages, they have the common root, and many of these words in these languages, Indo-European language family. So European languages, they are coming from Sanskrit. So Agni is actually, this becomes a little bit of a problem for many people from India, because they think of Agni as a feminine, but Agni is actually a masculine noun in Sanskrit. So it's a masculine ikaranta, and we see here Harihi, so it becomes Agnihi. Harim, it becomes Agnim. Harina, it becomes Agnina. So it's Na. Remember that Anatvam rule, because here it's Refa in Hari, so it becomes Na. But in Agni it remains Agnina. Then Hara A, it becomes Agna A. Harehe, it becomes Agnehe. Same, these two forms are the same. So this is another common feature you will find in nominals. This first and sixth case singular, they would be common in many of the nominals. For ablative and genitive first singular forms, and you would know which one, whether it's genitive or ablative, based upon the context. So this also becomes Agnehe, and here it's Agnau. And here He Agne. So some of the forms, if you remember, we have this mantra, Om Brahmarpanam Brahmagnau. If you remember, we chant in ashrams, Agnau. It's actually the seventh case. It's in the fire. So that's where Brahmagnau it's coming actually. Similarly, when we do the fire ceremony, many times we say Agnaye Swaha. That is Agnaye, fourth form. So many things, when you start going through this, you will start recognizing these words and their meaning and the context. So otherwise there are actually no complication in this form. It is very simple. I want to show you in Thomas Egenes' book on page number 160. So he has given here a form of Agni, the full table, and also Kirti. Kirti is the feminine noun I was telling you. Kirti means fame, Agni means fire. And you will see that there is so much similarity between Ikaranta, masculine and feminine nouns. he has put them side by side to show you that how much they actually resemble each other, how much they are similar to each other. So wherever he has put that slash, the oblique, that's where the form differs, and it's only at two places. So instead of Agnin, it becomes Kirtihi, and instrumental singular, that is third case singular, it becomes Kirtya, Agnina. We saw Agnina, and then if it is Kirti, it becomes Kirtya. Otherwise, all you have to do is just replace the word Agni with the Kirti, and the Kirti forms would be formed. Then these places where he has put in the brackets, not slash, these are the alternative forms. So Kirti has two forms in dative. So you can say Kirta A or Kirtyai. Both are acceptable. In some text you might find Kirta A, and in some text you might find Kirtyai. So Agnehe, and then another form is Kirtya. These alternative forms, they are actually similar to what you have in Ikaranta feminine. So if you remember here when we did the Ikaranta, Nari, so Naryai, Naryaha, Naryam, and that's what it is. Nar Kirtyai, Kirtyaha, Kirtyam. So there are alternative forms available for Ikaranta noun which are similar to Ikaranta, only in case of feminine, not in case of masculine. Masculine, it's only one form available. But in feminine Ikaranta, there are two alternative forms available, and both are correct. Okay, so that way you see that you learn one table and you start recognizing the forms in many cases. So many times when you see Kirta A, maybe you do not recognize it's a masculine or feminine, but as long as you know the meaning, you can still find out the meaning, saying that it's a fourth case singular, and you can still get the meaning, even though even if you do not know whether the noun actually is masculine or feminine. And from getting the meaning perspective, that part is really not so important, whether it's masculine or feminine. It is the identifying the case and the number that is more important from getting perspective of the meaning. So this is as far as the Ikaranta nouns are concerned. Any questions so far? There is a comment here from Aitrema, Kirti should be first in Devanagari. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Number of the page, I told you it's 160 in Egenes book, lesson 12. There's a question, how do you distinguish between masculine Ikaranta and feminine Ikaranta words? I already told you that the gender is dependent upon the word itself, so you will not know immediately. But when you look at the form, and as long as you can identify the case and the singular, whether it's singular, plural, or dual, you can get the meaning. And that is the important part. In order to find the gender, you actually look up in the dictionary. So the question is, feminine pronouns are the ones, so it's not feminine pronouns, it's nouns. So feminine nouns are the ones that can have alternate forms. Masculine forms do not have alternate, right? Yes, that is correct. Only feminine forms, and that too only in these three cases. These four cases actually. So sorry, these three cases, they have alternate forms. The dative singular, ablative singular, genitive singular. They have the alternative forms. That is only for the feminine noun, not for the masculine. there is a question, is there any easy trick to remember Agni is male and Kirti is feminine? Just now, it's a matter of building up your vocabulary. Until unless you learn some very advanced grammar rules, you will not easily know which one is masculine and which one is feminine. Okay, so with this, I'll take you to another topic, and that is numbers. Numbers in Sanskrit. There are two types of numbers, not just in Sanskrit, in English also. Cardinals, which we count as like 1, 2, 3, and ordinals, first, second, third. In Sanskrit, the cardinal forms are like this. I have given the first 5 here. So, Eka means 1, Dvi means 2, Tri means 3, Chatur 4, Pancha 5. There is an interesting fact here. All the numbers which you actually study in English and other Romance languages, they all come from Sanskrit actually, all the numerals. So from India, they went to Arab. From Arab, they came to West. And they became famous as Arabian numerals. But it's all coming from Sanskrit. And Egenes' book actually gives you a list in which language what is called actually. So here you can very clearly see the connection. So due is like due in Italian, French deux, Spanish dos, tri, tres, chatur, cuatro. So many people actually have traced these connections. Like Nava is 9, Novi, Ashta is Otto, Dasha is Daisy, Shash is Sei, Sapta is Sechi. So all these numbers, they have come from Sanskrit into these languages. So it should not be too difficult for you to get these numbers in Sanskrit. Just consider them as purer forms. I have marked some numbers here in color. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 numbers. So first of all, one is Eka is only in singular. It's you can imagine 1, since it's 1, it will not be in dual and plural. So it's only singular. So again, we have the tables for this, but instead of 7 by 3, we'll have 7 by 1 table for Eka. Similarly, Dui, it's only in dual, will not be in singular and plural. 3 would be only in plural, and Chatur and onwards it will be only in plural. So for numbers, for cardinal numbers, the Sanskrit tables would be in the form of 7 into 1, not 7 into 3. Second point here is that 1, 2, 3, 4. For these 4 numbers, they have the gender specific forms. So what does that mean is that I would say Ekaha Naraha means 1 man. And if I have to say 1 woman, I would say Eka Nari. Ekaha and Eka, these are the declension of word Eka, number 1, in masculine and feminine forms. And I would say Ekam Vanam, 1 forest. So this becomes neuter. So depending upon which noun are you qualifying with this number, it would take the according masculine, feminine or neuter form. So Dui, for example, is only in dual form. I told you it will there you will not have the singular and plural for Dui. So it becomes Dau Narau, two men. Now Eka can also mean some. So in that sense, when Eka is used in the sense of some, in that sense it's also used in dual and plural. So for example, you could say Eke Naraha. That would mean some people, some men. Going 5 onwards, there is no gender specific formations. So the 7/1 table would be remain common for all the 3 genders. But till 4, there is a difference. They are gender specific. We will not going into the details of these tables right now. I just wanted to give you some overview that these are the numbers and these are the properties they have in Sanskrit. Then the ordinal numbers, first, second, third, fourth, and they are called like this in Sanskrit. First is Prathama or Prathama. So they would depend upon whether it's a masculine or feminine. Generally, this word Prathama, you would elongate either A or E, then it becomes feminine. So it becomes long A. And here the declensions are simple, just like Rama and Gita. So Prathama, you see it's Akaranta, and Prathama, it's Akaranta. So these declensions, these tables would be very same as Rama and Gita. We have already studied those. They will also be in all the numbers. So first, Prathama would be in singular, dual and plural, all the 3 numbers. So it will be 7/3 table. If you think of that, it's very common in English also to use first in multiple numbers also. So you could say these 3 students came first. So I could refer to multiple subjects and still use Prathama. Or you could say these 2 cars came first in the race, like this. So all these numbers, they have 7/3 table. So for the second, we say Dutiya, Dutiya in the feminine. So masculine and neuter, both would remain Prathama. So Akaranta, so if it is neuter, you would use like Vana, Vanam, Vane, Vanani, like that. So Prathama, Dutiya, Tirtiya, Chaturtha. And from Chaturtha onwards, when you make feminine noun, it becomes Ikaranta. It's like similar to in English. In English, you have first, second, third, fourth, and fourth onwards, you will always have TH, like fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, like this. So in Sanskrit, similar kind of thing is there. Till third, you have Akaranta for making the feminine noun. And fourth onwards, you will have Ikaranta for making the feminine nouns. So Chaturtha, Chaturthi. And if you remember, when we are doing our declensions, I do not know whether you paid the attention here, but these are the names actually. First, second, Prathama, Dutiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti, Saptami. These are nothing but saying first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. That's all it means. So these are the names of the Vibhakti. And why it is in feminine here? Because this word Vibhakti, it's actually a feminine noun. So because it's saying Prathama Vibhakti, it becomes feminine. So these are the numbers. So any questions on the numbers, topic of numbers? Oh, so there is a comment here. Are you missing the chain number 5? Yes, I am actually. Thank you for pointing that out. So this is actually pancha. So pancha, it's thank you. So it's actually pancha, not pan. Fine. There is a question. Please explain 7-1 and 7-3. Deepak Baba, can you please clarify a little bit more? I'm not able to understand what exactly do you mean by 7-1 and 7-3. There is a question. Ordinals are similar to Gita and what? No, ordinals have a little bit different declensions. We will not go into the details of declensions of ordinals. Sorry, ordinals, yes. I'm sorry. Cardinals have little difference. Ordinals would be, if it is feminine, Akaranta, it would be similar to Gita. If it's Ikaranta, it would be similar to Nari. So depending upon whether it's the Akaranta or Ikaranta, you will have the similar declension tables as Gita or Nari. Are the first 4 numbers are all cardinal numbers masculine? No, I told that all these 4 actually have different declensions for masculine, feminine, and neuter. So eka, I gave an example here. Eka nari, ekaha naraha, ekam vanam. This shows that these are different declensions for different genders. After 4, pancha, shas, then all those numbers, they remain gender independent. That means there is only one table, 7/1, all in plural, and those forms will be used for all the genders. So it's not a question of are they all masculine, it's just that they will be used commonly for masculine, feminine, and neuter. It's a common form. There is a question, sorry it escaped me why it is Chaturthi with long E. It's just that we make it that way. Chaturthi, Panchami, going forward, it is the feminine nouns are made with the long E, Ikaranta nouns, not with A. That's just the way it is actually in Sanskrit. Okay, so there is a question, what is 7/1 and 7/3? When I say 7/1, like Eka, because it's only in singular, so that's why you will have, it does not have the forms in dual and plural. So that's why you will have a table 7/1. It's only cases, 7 cases and singular. Similarly, Dui, it will only have in dual. So you will have a table of 7/1 in dual number, not in singular and plural. That's what 7/1 is. And 7/3 means like these tables, they will be in all the 3 numbers, singular, dual, and plural. So you will have 7/3 tables there. There is a question, are Prathama declensions similar to Rama? That is correct. Prathama declensions, if it's masculine, it's similar to Rama. If it's neuter, if you are using for the neuter noun, then it will be similar to Vana. There is a question, why do we have to use numbers to quantify noun when we know the number of the noun from its declension? From the declension, you only know singular, dual, and plural. You do not know the number of nouns from the declension. So if you have to say 5 apples, how would you say 5 apples without using the numbers? How would you write 2 women? We are not doing that part yet, but it will be Due Naryau. So we are not doing that part right now. We will not go into the details of declensions of these cardinal numbers. Okay, so with this, I just want to touch a little bit more on the pronouns, which we did last time. So we did these: saha, he, sa, she, and tat, that, aham, I, tvam, you. So I showed you the table here last time in Egenes' book for aham and tvam. Let me quickly check what is the page number here for those tables. So that is 128. So this is the table for aham. So here the stem, the base word is actually mad, which is also used as mat, like takaran, but it's actually mad for the singular, and asmad is for plural. This is a very, very exceptional kind of table. Like most of the endings here, except like bhyam and bhyam, they become different. And here when you see two forms, mam and ma, they are alternate forms. So you could use mam or ma. You could use mayam or may for dative singular. But there is a difference. Difference is that these alternative short forms, they will not come in the start of a sentence. So if you are starting a sentence with the accusative singular, you have to use mam. So all these alternate forms now. So if you remember, if you look at this form now, and if you remember our mantra from the morning, when we say saha na vavatu, saha now bhunaktu, it's coming from here, two, v2. V2, this is what 2 means. So now, so that's where it's coming from actually. And similarly in this mantra, this now is coming actually here also. I explained earlier, this actually becomes sandhi, now avatu, now bhunaktu. And even here, tejasvi, now adhitam astu. So these are all dual forms. That's why this mantra is actually considered one-on-one between teacher and student. Two people, even though there could be multiple students, but when a student is, for every student, it's like a personal mantra with the teacher. So this is a very beautiful mantra coming from Upanishads, and it's using these forms now, the dual. And because they are coming in the middle of a sentence, that's why you could use the short forms. You don't have to use avam. It's only when you are starting a sentence, then you cannot use the short forms. Yeah, naha. So you see that now is used for second case, fourth case, and sixth case. From the context, you would know whether it is used for the second, fourth, or sixth. Similarly, naha is used for second plural, fourth plural, and genitive plural. Most of the time in Gita, you would find a lot of usage of the singular forms of this pronoun. Mad bhaktaha, mat, my devotee. Mai sanyasya mat paraha, in me, you give up all the actions. So, mam upasate, those who worship me. So you will find a lot of use of these particularly singular, because Lord is talking in the first person. In Bhagavad Gita, you will find a lot of singular usage of these forms. This table, I won't necessarily say that you should memorize, but you should get familiar yourself with the form so that you identify that this is the case and this is the number. So aham is of course the most used because it's the singular nominal, aham gacchami. And because I explained earlier, aham is gacham. If I'm saying aham gachami, because aham could be the only subject for gachami, it is the only first person singular pronoun. There could be no other noun or pronoun for the first person singular. Aham could be the only one. That's why it can be omitted and the meaning does not change. So gachami means aham, same as aham gachami. And that's what he says here, both are any gender. These forms do not depend upon whether a man is saying or woman is saying. They will use the same forms. They are not gender dependent. Similarly, tvam, it's the same way. You see the short forms. These are the alternate forms. And again, you will find this kind of form a lot. Te for dative singular. So te means for you. In Gita, you will find I'm going to tell for you. So te, you will find these forms. Tava, te. So these, again, the same rule applies. The short forms will not come in the start of a sentence, but they can come in the middle. Okay. So these are the two different forms for the pronouns. First person pronoun and second person pronoun. And then we have the third person pronoun, which is actually tad. So sometimes it's written as tad. And here it has these three forms: masculine, feminine, neuter. So this table is also 7/3, just like for ahem and tom. And let me just quickly check in the Egenes book where the table is. So that is on 146 page in Egenes book. So here it is. So tad, masculine, and it becomes saha taute. So just because you see the word saha, you might feel that it's coming like similar to Rama, but that's not the case because the stem here is tad, it's not sa. That's why the forms are quite different. These pronoun forms have there some additional rules. Even though the table is the same 7/3, but the way pronoun forms come, they have some additional rules. Here you don't have the alternate forms, alternate short forms. So generally you will find the same forms. So that way it is good. It is easier to recognize these forms. So this is only masculine. So in the third person, we do have one for each gender. 3 declensions. So tad, the same stem. If it is masculine, it is like this. Same stem. If it is for neuter, it is like this. Tatte tani, tatte tani. And it will only differ from masculine only in the first 2 rows. Other rows, they would be same as masculine. And then feminine forms. She, tad, but the stem remains the same. When it's feminine, it becomes sa te taha, tam te taha. You can see some similarity from like akaranta feminine forms, but not quite the same. There would be some difference. So these are the pronoun forms. So here he's saying third person pronoun can act as a pronoun or a demonstrative pronoun, meaning that sa gacchati, he goes. Sa naro gacchati, that man goes. So then it becomes a demonstrative pronoun. Sa naraha gacchati, that man goes. So with this, I covered some pronouns. There are, of course, many more pronouns in Sanskrit, but these are the most common ones. Tad for in 3 forms, and first and second person pronouns, aham and tvam. Any questions related to pronouns? Let me check here. So if there is a question, I see tasmai in the tables of pronoun forms and that it is also in the Guru Mantra. Can you put it into context? That is true actually. So in Guru Mantra, that's a good thing you pointed out. So in Guru Mantra, tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, to that Guru do I bow. So it becomes like a demonstrative basically here. So tasmai is actually coming from the same fourth case singular of tad, tasmai. So if you go here in Egenes' book, tasmai, you see this tasmai, this is for the masculine tasmai, because fourth case singular, it is tasmai Shri Gurave. We haven't read this form, but Guru is Gurave in the fourth case singular. So that's why it says tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, to that Guru do I bow. Namaha always takes the fourth case forms. Namaha is a special word in Sanskrit which always is used with the fourth case forms. Okay, there is a question. Order does not matter. So when you can just make it anywhere but the beginning of the sentence. Now is the above point for the now. So yes, that is true that you can, but in Sanskrit when we say order does not matter, that's not an absolute statement. That is, and we'll see some of it that where order matters maybe next week, but by and large it doesn't matter. It is true, it's not an absolute thing that you can put anything anywhere, but now in particularly in case of now you could put other places. It is just that if it is too far off, the context could get a little bit messed up. You may have to really figure out that how it is actually, how is it working out. The page number in Egenes' book, this is all 11 and 12th chapters actually. So lesson 11 and lesson 12, like this is 146. So you can see in the lesson 11 and lesson 12, all these pronoun forms, 10, 11, 12, whatever we discussed today from Egenes' book, they are in 10, 11 and 12 lesson numbers. There is a question, are pronouns usually dropped in conversational Sanskrit? For example, naraha gacchati without sa is acceptable, or is it more common? No, actually in this case, when you say, so conversational Sanskrit will have more pronouns naturally. Just like in English, when you are conversing, you would have quite a bit of use of pronoun. Same way in Sanskrit, you would have a use of pronouns in Sanskrit, in conversational Sanskrit. So when you demonstrate that naraha gacchati means that man goes, then you will use sa naraha gacchati like this. So depending upon the context, you would use pronouns or nouns in the whether it's conversation or whether it's written. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of an exercise. And today's exercise would be this one. So you write the, so let me just share the Word file here for you. And okay, sorry, let me just view read mode. So you would write the forms of Ravi in, just like Hari we discussed, Ikaranta ending, just write the forms of Ravi. Okay, with this I'll mute. So it's a 10:01. We'll meet like in about 11-12 minutes. That hopefully should be enough time for you to write the tables for this. Welcome back, everyone. So I hope you are able to complete this exercise and there would be no more questions hopefully with this. There was a question, Ravi means sun, and there are many words for sun in Sanskrit. So one of the common ones is Surya. This also means sun, Surya. So what is the difference between saying Surya and Ravi? So in Sanskrit, you might have heard many times from Guruji that one word has many meanings, and there are many words for one thing. It's just the richness of the language over a period of thousands of years that you have that kind of richness. If you look at water, for example, there are more than 100 words. It's not a figurative thing. It's literally there are more than 100 words to describe water. In English, you will say there's only one, water. I mean, you could say H2O, but that's more like a chemical formula. So the way these words are formed, they come from different roots. And based upon the root, you actually see that there is a subtle difference in the meaning, but they still refer to sun. Just like every word in Sanskrit, these also have some root from which they come. So there is a very famous mantra of sun which actually has these 12 names, like many people do Surya Namaskara. And there are 12 names of sun used in the mantra when people do Surya Namaskara. So all these actually mean sun, and they are used interchangeably because they are synonyms. So in the text, they would be used interchangeably. But many times in the mantras, there could be subtle difference in if you are having some mantra that which particular one to use. Most of the times, as far as the text is concerned, they are very synonymous and they use interchange. So I just wanted to tell you that Sanskrit, you will have this kind of thing. So Surya is like Akaranta. It's a like Rama. Ravi is Ikaranta. Another word Bhanu is Ukaranta. So like this, you could even have the change of gender actually sometimes. So for water, generally it's neuter. Many of the words are neuter form, but there are words, for example, Aap. Aap is feminine. There is a word like Sarvato Bhadra, which is masculine. So in the Sanskrit, the gender depends upon the word, not upon the object. So just wanted to share with you this thing. Then today we'll have some time. We'll go to the questions. So these are some of the questions, and I'm just late in answering many of these questions. Some of them are already may not be no longer relevant, like they have been answered. So we'll skip those questions if they are already answered and not relevant. These questions have been asked by you at different times in the emails, and I have compiled them in this Word document. The question is, aren't there any determinants in Sanskrit language? If affirmative, won't they be variable words? So determinant in English language is used to introduce a noun. So whenever you are introducing a noun, particularly in singular, not so much in plural, in singular you have to use a determinant to introduce a noun. So determinants could be different categories in English, like articles a and the. You say an apple, when you are referring to an apple, I eat an apple. You could also have determinants which are quantitative, like I eat 2 apples to 1 apple. You could have determinants in the form of demonstrative pronouns. I need that apple. But always a determinant is required in order to introduce a noun in English language in singular, but not so in Sanskrit. So Sanskrit, there are no determinants in that sense. You could use demonstrative pronouns like saying that apple, but it's not a requirement. Is Sanskrit somehow anyhow pictographic? Do the letters mean anything? Some of the letters like lakara, vakara, hakara remind me to bij mantras lam, vam, hum. So yes, they are actually coming, the bij mantras are coming from the letters only. So you actually are referring to the same letters as they are there. So that's why you would see bij mantras in those letters. Do the letters mean anything, just the shape of them? I don't know. There have been some sort of literature on that topic. I haven't really read about it much in detail, that whether the shapes of Devanagari letters themselves mean anything. I know there has been some literature on that kind of thing. I have seen Krishna written as Krishna. Is it possible to omit vowels when it comes to the spelling? So it is not like this. What is happening is that when you are seeing Krishna, so in Devanagari, we write Krishna like this. And you write like this actually in IAST. So you see the dots under, and in English, plain English, you normally write like this. So people actually intend to write like this, and sometimes they don't write the dots, but it's actually these IAST, this is pure Sanskrit form of writing Krishna. That's how you see the R with dot under, S with dot under, N with dot under. With your knowledge of alphabet, you know that this is the pure form of writing the Krishna in Sanskrit. But anglicized form is this. And sometimes when people write this, if they don't put the dot, it may make that confusion that it is, can be vowels be omitted? It cannot be omitted actually. Could you please explain when do we use one cha and then when do we use two cha in a Sanskrit sentence? So cha in a Sanskrit sentence. So this word cha, let me, it's a very special word in Sanskrit. So for one thing, it is the most commonly used word in the Sanskrit literature, most frequent word. So if you say, for example, read Gita, Ramayana, and if you compile a list of all the words, that what is the frequency of every word, you will find this word generally in pretty much all the texts, most frequent word used. I do not know what is the most frequent in English, probably could be A, but in Sanskrit, cha is the most frequent word used. Cha also has a special rule. So cha means end. That's what this letter means. Cha means end. It's a word which combines two nouns or two adjectives. So for example, if I have to write Ramaha Shamaha cha. Sorry. Ramaha Shamaha cha. So cha is actually, it means end, but it does not come in between the words. It comes at the end actually. So when I write in Sanskrit and it is a position specific. That means it will not follow the free word order kind of thing in Sanskrit. So this particular word cha, you cannot put just anywhere. It could actually change the meaning. So this is how it is written. Ramaha Shyamaha cha. There is a second way to write when you are writing cha. So you could either put it, and even if there are more than one, so you could say Ramaha Shyamaha Ravihi cha, like this. So there could be more than 3 nouns, 4 nouns. You could write just at the end cha, and it would mean end for everything. So this is one way to write. Another way to write is that you could put cha after every single noun. So you could say Ramaha cha, Shyamaha cha, and that is also correct. So you could, so if you know Sandhi, it becomes Ramascha, Shyamascha, but both ways is correct. You could write cha at the end of all the connecting words which you want to connect, all the nouns which you want to connect, or you could write after every noun cha. Both are correct. Next question. My question is that I don't understand why Vyudam and Vachanam are considered nominals, as when I read the meaning, it didn't really feel like a nominal form to me, as it was not a noun attached to the preposition. So in Sanskrit, there are no prepositions, generally speaking. So I'm not sure what your question. If the question is there in the meeting, can you please clarify in the chat window? I'll check. If you are there and you ask the question. So there is a requirement. I am just seeing your chat questions that I should solve the class exercise for Ravi. We will solve it in the class notes. So when we post the class notes, you will see the solution for Ravi. So there is a question in the chat window. For example, Surya or Bhanu, does it change the gender? In case of Surya or Bhanu, it does not, but it could. In other cases, like I gave the example of water, where the different words could change the gender. But in case of Surya or Bhanu, these two specifically, they do not change the gender. There is a question, why is char CHA written as cha, CA? That is just the IAST script. I hope you are following the IAST script also. So in IAST script, cha is written simply as CA. So there is a question regarding the use of cha. If I write at the end only, then I have to write all the nouns one after the other and then cha. Yes, that's correct. So next question, couldn't identify a couple of words on verse 3. If you get to see this email and if time permits, request to talk about how to identify those words in the class. I'm sorry, I'm seeing this email a little bit later, like I have just put the question here. The context, if you could clarify, if you are in the class, just put the context in the chat window and what did you exactly mean here. I'm confused on when you use the verb bhavanti. For example, in 7J, where are all the deer? That is the exercise from Egenes' book. Can we not say kutra mrugan? Do we need to say kutra mrugan bhavanti? Okay, so this is a case where I earlier discussed that there are some verbs, special verbs like us, and there is another such verb called bhu. Bhu is also used in the same sense as to be, but it actually means to become, but it's used in the similar sense many times as us, to become. Its form is bhavanti in the third person plural. And this verb, just like us, we discussed that it could be implied. You don't have to explicitly mention this verb. Bhu also can be implied. So in that sense, when you have this kutra mrugan or kutra mrugan bhavanti, it's okay to use either way. We don't have to use this verb always. Kutra mrugan is also okay. It would actually convey the same meaning. More appropriate would be actually the us verb. I think in Egenes exercise, because he had not introduced us verb by then, so it would be kutra mrugan santi or kutra mrugan. Bhavanti is less common to be used in that sense, but he was using bhavanti because that the us was not introduced by then. So this is a question in the statement below. Why does va need to be repeated twice? As per answer, I would have mentioned it only once. They stand or they go. Tishthanti va, gachanti va. So this verb va is actually very similar to cha. So this, just like cha, this another word called va. And it means or. This actually refers to or. So this also used in the very similar way, just like cha is used. You could use after every word, or you could use at the end of the words which you are connecting through or. So very similar usage, cha or va. So you could repeat it or you could put it at the end of the statement. Both are okay. Okay, so now we are end of the time. I'll just tell you about the homework. So homework today is actually these two lessons from Egenes' book, lesson 11 and 12. I'll also put another homework for giving some forms in Ikaranta, masculine and feminine. So you can write those forms. I'll post that homework. So there could be 2 exercises. You have weekends, so you can easily do these, hopefully. Next, we will be meeting Monday morning. So now the Egenes book actually does not give all the exercises in transliteration. So we are putting the transliteration here in this exercise itself. So those of you who do not know Devanagari, they can still follow the exercise and the solutions in transliteration. So we'll put the exercises in the IST script and then we'll post it. We'll also post the solutions as like exercise 34 solution in transliteration. So this is one, and then I'll put together another exercise for giving the forms of nouns, Ikaranta nouns. So with this, we'll do our prayers. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashchid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everybody.